Thank you, Rosemary. What a beautiful gift. Is everyone enjoying this fall weather? Can you stand it? I love it. Welcome to another beautiful Sunday here at Sarasota Center of Light. And the title of my talk today is Living the Emotional Journey. So we're going to have a chance to focus in on that for a few minutes. Living the Emotional Journey. And I'd like to begin with a smile, if that's okay with you. Yes? You don't want to be quiet. You'll be mistaken for the evening people. On Sunday evening, sometimes I have to take their pulse because they're so spiritual. Now watch this spin. I'm going to spin this. They're so spiritual, they're calm and relaxed for the whole hour and a half. And I have to keep asking if they're really there. How exciting to have you here and alive and awake in the morning. That's wonderful. So I heard about this farmer. This farmer had a young son he'd sent away to college. The farmer felt quite humbled that he, being a simple man, was able to send his son away to a wonderful Ivy League university. But he knew in the heart of who he was, that intelligence doesn't solve everything. There's also something called common sense. And so he'd sent his son away to this Ivy League university, and after a few years, the son was able to come home for a holiday. And they thought, what a wonderful time to reconnect, as father and son. And he said to his son, "Son, would you like to do what we always love to do, our favorite thing to do, go camping?" The son was, "Yes, gung-ho, let's go camping." So they went out, they pitched their tent, and they went camping, and they had a wonderful night. And the father, as the simple farmer that he was just in his element, relaxing, going to sleep. After a few hours, the old farmer realized he wasn't really sleeping. Something was different. And he woke up, and he saw all of the stars stretched in the beautiful sky above. And then he realized his son was also awake. Oh, what a beautiful and rare moment. He says to his son, "Son, when you look up into the sky, what does it tell you?" "Oh, the sun had a PhD. Oh, the sun was quite brilliant." He said, "Oh, there's millions and millions of galaxies. They're unlimited. They're expanding. There's gases. There's minerals. There's all these things happening. There's suns and there's..." The father said, "What else does it tell you?" "Oh, well, somewhere there was a big bang and there was gases and explosions and suns and universes and the galaxies and Milky Ways." "Son, what else does it tell you?" "Well, that's about it. We have very limited views scientifically." "What's it tell you, Dad?" The old farmer said, "To me, it tells me someone stole our tent." Intelligence is sometimes a limited thing, right? It's based on available information, but also available to that mind who's processing the information. Perspective. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, about perspective. That was last week. How exciting. Perspective. Remember the gecko? Poor thing. The sun was blocked out. The poor gecko survived this cataclysmic, some would say catastrophic. It was catastrophic. This unidentified object coming out of the sky called lawnmower and almost ready to devour him. But yet he survived. Remember that? Ooh, that was so fun. Not fun for me, because some of you who'd been here for 5 months said that was my best talk ever. It's like, how do I top that? Tell me. But this is connected. Today's talk is connected to last week. Because on the idea of information, albeit information technology and wisdom, what we call intelligence, it has limited function, as we found out in the joke. It has limited usefulness sometimes. Because sometimes where we are, we have a very limited view, right? Where we are kind of guessing sometimes, if that's the best of it, to be honest or polite sometimes. Sometimes where we are, we're just kind of guessing that we think we know what's going on, right? It can sound astute. "Oh, I've read 99 books on this topic, so here's my view of it." that's your view in this moment, right? And if you were to write down your view, your definitive perspective based on your 99 books of wisdom and intelligence, you might come back to that in a day or 2 weeks and say, my view has shifted. Right? Isn't it true? Yeah, and that's kind of the hallmark of an intelligent being, is able to embrace new perspective, being able to embrace new wisdom and new information. And so we need to kind of remember that, I think, as we experience this process of life that is not so definitive, that is not so clear-cut and dried that we understand it emphatically in this moment. Because that's oftentimes, and the Buddhists get this really, really well, the Buddhists get this, that when you become fixed too much on what you're wanting, that very fixation can be the problem. And I've lived in Japan and studied some Buddhism, and I'm like, on that topic, they got it down. They were like 2,000 years ahead of the rest of us because they took a shortcut. They said, well, if you give up desire on wanting that fixed thing, if you give up on the desire, then you'll be in bliss. It's kind of right. If you give up on any possible disappointment, you can experience bliss. If you can appreciate the now, right? So that's one kind of philosophical angle to take on it. I'm offering something a little bit different today, which I've kind of inherited from some of my teachers, and that is living the emotional journey. Some have said, you've heard of that wonderfully wise saying that life isn't about the destination, it's about the journey along the way. How many roses along the way are you enjoying the smell of? It's not about getting there, it's about the process along the way. And this is similar to say that enjoying the emotional journey is a way of being harmoniously linked with what we're wanting. Enjoying the process emotionally right now. Whereas a lot of us, we kind of have it a little bit backwards, or we're raised this way. Christmas maybe, and birthdays are a great example. I'll be happy if and when I get that gift I want, right? And there's almost this kind of angst that it gets built up. Same thing with anniversaries too. If I don't get exactly what I'm wanting, but if I do, then I'll be happy. And so there's this kind of built-up pressure sometimes that if I don't get what I want, I'm not going to be happy. Sound familiar? And we use that, the birthday or Christmas analogy of that maybe gift, the maybe gift, as a picture of how we do lots of things in relationships, in jobs and careers, right? That if I get what I want, then I'm going to be happy, right? If I get the trophy, that hallmark of success, then I'll be happy. But vibrationally, metaphysically, this is one of the most empowering things to ever truly get, in my opinion. Is that vibrationally, if you say, because in this dynamic, I'm discontented where I am, because we're reserving happiness for later. If I'm discontented where I am, I'm going to be discontented and unhappy along the way. And if you're discontented and unhappy, how can you allow in something beautiful and wonderful? See? It's like I was interviewing someone who seemed very unhappy one time. And I could just tell that, given my happy staff, they would not be a good match. You put in one unhappy person with a whole group of happy people, who knows what's going to happen, And I said to the person, how are you enjoying life? And that really caught them off guard. They thought we were talking about, qualifications and job experience. How are you enjoying life? Oh, I won't use the expletive they said, but life was very disappointing for them. It's like, what do you look forward to every day? Oh, first I have to do this, and then I have to do that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Oh, their whole day. I was starting to feel depressed just by hearing in 2 seconds, their view of their life, And I just wanted to very carefully say, if you're not going to be happy, you're not going to be a happy addition to this happy crew, right? And so very often it's that way when we look at our challenges, that on the way to where we're going, we might intellectually know where we think we want to go. We might intellectually think, oh yes, if I get that coveted outcome, then I'll be happy. And maybe the wisdom is like, not so much. Maybe if you can be in vibrational sync, in harmony with what you say you're wanting, then you're a match for what you say you're wanting. Then you're a wonderful match along the way. You're happy and open and receptive along the way. So when it happens, you're open to it. Another example of this is a friend of mine that I used to think, kind of like the old farmer, I used to think she was very simple-minded but wise. I gave her that because she'd been doing this kind of work, this spiritual work, for decades longer than I had. And when I was a student going to mediumship classes in San Diego, we'd go to these circles, to learn mediumship skills and everything. It was very exciting. But here's this lady who kind of looks like someone's grandma. She's adorable and cute and wise and very well respected. And when it came to the mediumship exercises, instead of giving people these power exercises or these focus exercises to be open to all this communication stuff and open to all of these etheric realms that all the teachers talked about, she would just simply say, come along, kids. Cheer along for everyone else. You're a cheering committee. Really? You're a cheering team. Cheer for everyone else. I was like, what's this cheering stuff? It's like, where's the deep wisdom in this? And she'd say, some people would be a little bit tense. And say, just relax. Cheer for someone else. I began to understand the wisdom of that. In the relaxation and the distraction of cheering for someone else, if you can be happy that someone else in the room or the circle is going to have a good experience, what's your attention on? Your vibration is about, good, something wonderful is going to happen. The attention gets off of your temporary me, myself, and I, me and my insecurities and I, my tension and I. No. Good, someone else is going to have a good experience. Someone else is going to have a great time. Good, pure love, pure positive expectation. And inadvertently, this is a beautiful paradox, inadvertently, because now it's like, I'm open to positive expectation. I'm open to love and joy for these other people in the room. I'm much more conducive, right? I'm much more open. I'm having the emotional journey for what I had said I wanted before I actually get there. And inadvertently, this is what would begin to happen. People would just kind of relax. And so here all these aspiring mediums would be called cheerleaders. She would say, you're a cheerleader, you're a cheerleader, you're a cheerleader. And if you can't cheer for someone else to have a good experience, then something's wrong. And I was like, dear respected teacher, you know what you're talking about. Because she would get people so excited. People would want to come to the classes just to emotionally cheer for someone else that was in the room. Isn't that a beautiful thing? And people would cheer for other people in the room, and they'd begin to have these wonderful experiences because all these people are sending them positive vibes, see? And then inadvertently, they too would be the recipient of a beautiful experience, having a wonderful, vibrational, harmonious experience. So they're in harmony vibrationally with what they said they wanted. I want to link this in with something that I think is one of the most metaphysically profound statements that might sound like conventional religion because it comes from the New Testament, and a guy named St. Paul said it. I don't know if he thinks he was very saintly because he was a regular guy for most of his life. And when he was talking about faith, deep, profound faith, he wrote a whole chapter in the book of Hebrews on faith, which again is just belief. Kind of take the religiosity out of it for a second. Faith, that level of deep, profound belief. He said faith is And then he wanted to define it. I love is statements because you get the thought of the speaker. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So think about what we just said about the living the emotional journey before you get to where you want to go. Being in harmony with what you say you want before it manifests. See? He says, faith is the substance of what you want. Ah! He got it! He got it! Ooh, 2,000 years ago. The substance, the spiritual essence of what you say you want, you're experiencing it right now. I can experience the love and the joy and the whatever the blessing is, the beauty of what we're wanting, experience that etheric, energetic, emotional substance now, puts me in harmony with it before it shows up. And St. Paul got that 2,000 years ago. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. I hope for it before it's here. I'm experiencing the substance of that etheric essence before it shows up. And then he continues, the evidence of things not seen. In spiritualism, we love that word evidence. Show me the evidence. Right? Show me the proof. I want the proof. The substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. The evidence of things not seen is the substance in advance. Do you love that? Oh, call me done right there. That's metaphysically, that's as profound as it gets. Okay? And you can go to India, and you can go to the Far East, and guess what? When you find out the mechanics of spiritual teachers that understand about the laws of manifestation, they will tell you that exact thing. Yes. Do you love that? Let's give St. Paul a little applause. It lets him know you got it. Isn't that cool? Wow. I want to close with one example. You like examples? This is a real life examples. 99% of my examples I never get from books. I got the books. They're interesting. But real life situations, like to me, are just much more real and interesting. And I was counseling with, in California. Have you ever heard of California? They have all these intelligent people. And they have a lot of techies too. Intelligent, brilliant techies. And some of them are a little bit younger than me. And but that doesn't mean they have wisdom. And some of them have these high-powered jobs, and they're just very, very frustrated, working in these little cubicles all day long, 16 hours a day, poor things. And some of them have to come to me for counseling because life just, those four walls of the cubicle can kind of close in on you after 1,000 hours. And so there they are, and then they begin to reach out for the substance of things hoped for through counseling. And so one day I was counseling with a young woman who is quite brilliant, and she's so brilliant at what she does, technologically with this computer world. She's so brilliant that she only works literally 3 or 4 days a week at best. 3 or 4 days a week. And she's able to live very, very comfortably on this semi-temp permanent job, working 3 or 4 days a week. And this semi-temp job has worked out for about 5 years now. And so there she is, blessed and cursed at the same time, because she says to me, Reverend Drew, the horrible thing is, I hate going to work. And I'm looking at it from my perspective, working 55 hours a week. I'm like, excuse me? You're going to have to get up a little earlier in the morning to explain this to me. And she says, I hate going to work, even though I like my job. I hate going to work because I don't like my boss. My boss has it in for me. My boss has favorites. Ooh. And I'm not it, she said. This was a big deal, to think that your boss doesn't like you. And she said her boss plays office politics and has favorites. And it's usually the same one or two people for quite a while. And she wasn't it. And in this unfair atmosphere is where she worked. In this unfairness of this non-democracy and uneven implementation of company policy, blessings, favors, bennies, she had to work knowing that others were the favorite and she was not. And so she had a laundry list, this person I was counseling with had a laundry list in her mind of how wrong and guilty the boss was. We could have been there for a couple days justifying her angst about how horrible the poor boss was. And I said, "Dear one," to the person who came for counseling, "I'm looking for the emotional journey." If you're looking for frustration, boy, you've hit the bedrock. But if you're wanting something wonderful and good out of this, dear one, what is it you're wanting? She says, "I want a good boss. So I don't care if this one falls off the planet, gets fired, gets graduated to New York office, whatever. I don't care as long as I get a good boss. I want a good boss so I can enjoy my job again." And I said, "Let's play a game for a couple weeks." She says, "Good, I like games." I said, "This is a game where you try," and I've used the word try very sparingly because I'm not a big proponent of trying, I'm a proponent of doing. But in this case, this was a really tough case, right? And so I kind of convinced her to gently take me up on this. I said, "Let's try for just a couple of weeks. Like I'm going to work with her." I don't think so. I said, "Let's try." You're not alone. "Let's try to go to work and see your boss in fresh eyes and to just find some things about her that you might like." I knew this was a tough case. Using a lot of words to give her some out, right? Try to find some things you might like about her. And then, this is just for 2 weeks experimenting, for 2 weeks, pretend you're kind of liking her. She said, "That's going to be really, really tough given what I know about this person." She began to do that. She went to work trying and pretending and appreciating the things that she might like about the boss. And I get this email from out of the blue from her, and she says, "You will not believe it, Reverend Drew. The boss is being nice to me." I said, "Good. Do you feel vibrationally in sync with that?" "Yes, I'm very receptive. The nicer she is to me, the easier it is to be nice to her." I said, "Welcome to quantum mechanics." She got it. But aren't we always fixated on the outcome? Where's the kudos? I want the bennies. I want the pay raise. I want the more blessings, please, right? It's not just about Christmas morning or opening the gift. And so I knew that this is a kind of a delicate area when we begin to kind of feel in harmony with what we want, but we don't see the actual outcome yet. So I began to gently soothe her to say, hold on to this. This is the beginning of getting this wonderful relationship you're wanting. Not caring where she goes to New York or off the planet. That's not your issue. Your happiness, dear one, your happiness is your issue. You can control it. So get hooked into, wow, now the boss is treating me better. I'm moving up in the office, so to speak. I could be one of the chosen ones. I could be one of the very few in the office that she likes. She said, "Well, that's kind of a stretch, but it's beginning to feel more doable than 2 weeks before." And I was like, "Good for you!" So she grabbed onto it. She accepted the challenge. I forgot all about it. I have many techies to console with. And a couple weeks later, I get another email from her. And she says, "You won't believe it. My boss called me with no forewarning. My boss called me into her office and sat me down. And she said, I was so scared because I thought she was going to lay me off. fear is welcome, very rarely a welcome indicator of good things, right? And she sat there in fear of this woman that she was scared to death of. And the boss says, I have good news for you. I'm giving you a pay raise. She was shocked. And it was a very significant pay raise. And her mind is going a mile a minute thinking, it's not even time for the pay raise, you know? And her mind says, finally forms the words, well, what is it? Why am I getting a pay raise? And the boss says, well, you know what? You're doing such an amazing job. There's almost no one in the office like you. And it's like when it comes to production and being efficient and reliable, it's like you're one of my favorite ones. Hello! Hello! And so yes, well, she moved up in the ranks. And she didn't have to give up anything except her negative attitude. She didn't have to give up anything except for the judgment and the stuckness. That's good English. She gave up the stuckness of, I'm screwed up. And this whole situation is screwed up, right? Excuse my French. And so all she had to give up was on the negativity to begin to have the emotional journey to be in vibrational harmony with what she said she was wanting. And this works with family dynamics, with that uncle or the relative that you really have a long laundry list that you don't like about. It works exactly the same way. On any condition, any situation that is over there, and you know you want something very, very specifically, if you can begin to gently soothe yourself with, even if it's timid thoughts like maybe or might or try, it's a beginning compared to stuckness. Stuckness is not very fresh, right? Move into maybe. I'm trying. I'm moving. I'm progressing. I'm beginning to expand. Just exploring. Two of my favorite words, exploring. What's that mean? It implies, before you get there, I'm beginning to discover things. So I'm exploring. Yes. I'm discovering. It means around the next corner, something good is going to happen. Around the next corner, new wisdom is coming to me. Around the next corner, there's a gift with a big bow, and it's got my name on it. Sound good? Welcome to Monday. God bless.